Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Vincent Tan speaking. This time, I'm going to show you how to install VERSATIL4 monoblock. This sharing device into these three parts. I put the corresponding video linkages at the below description areas just for your reference. Meanwhile, I also provide the corrected subtitle just for your better understanding. Electric system installation. Panels, you'll find that here are the terminals, including this one. XT1 is for the whole power supply of the outdoor unit, and this XT4 is for the e-heater power supply, including L1, L2 to input, and 4 and 5 is to output to the water tank e-heater. Besides, you can also offer the power from here to the built-in water e-heater inside the Versatility outdoor unit. And this is a small one is for the controller connection. And this part is if you would like to achieve different functions, for example, the three-way valve, two-way valve, and just connect here. Just like this one, just like what I said, here for the whole power supply. This is for the e-heater power supply and also the output. And here is for the different functions, and I put the detail meaning here just for your reference. Three-way valve 2. The function of this one is just to change the water flow direction either to the DHW water tank or to the space cooling or space heating. On the actual wiring, you will find there are three terminals just like this. As for the three-way valve, there are only two status, right? On or off. And question, why we offer you these three? The reason it is that we recommend to apply this SPDT with this one, this type of the valve. That means no matter it is normal close or normal open, we will also output a signal to ensure or to guarantee it will close or open. Also, you can apply the simple SPST. This type of the valve, if once it will see the signal, it will just change the status. And if there's no signal, it will just change to the other status. And another it is that we output 230 volts. If it is 115 volt valve, you need to rely on a relay to change the signal. Two-way valve. The function of this two-way valve is during the space cooling or space heating, you can conduct the water flow to another device, for example, the flow coil. And also you can find that there are also three terminals for this two-way valve wiring. The reason also the same, we also recommend to apply this SPTD valve. And also you can find it is a 230 volt output, require a relay for 115 volts. And meanwhile, you can also determine whether you need to open or close this valve on the controller during space cooling or space heating. Additional water pump. The purpose of this one, it is if you find that the head of delivery on the water cycle is not enough, then you need to install this additional water pump on site. And basically, you should install this one at the inlet of this Versatility, either for the space cooling or heating or for the water tank. And you can also find that on the terminals, we offer two sets of the terminals. This is for the space cooling and space heating, this one. And this is for the water tank pump, just in case. Meanwhile, you can find that there is a KA4. This means you need to install the relay if the water pump input power is more than 100 watt. And just reminder that the output signal also 230 volts AC. Also, you need to use the relay if the water pump is 115 volts. And you can also find that the signal is just from the built-in water pump, which means once this built-in water pump turns on, it will just also output the signal to these terminals. And this is for the DHW, and this is for the space cooling and heating. This 4 is for the power input of the inverter on the on-off water pump. And also we recommend to apply just on-off water pump is quite enough because it will be more simplified to control. Moreover, if the additional water pump is inverter, we also offer you the control signal, which is on these 4 terminals. This 2 is for the space cooling and space heating additional water pump inverter control signal, and the other 2 is for the water tank. And also it is just a bypass from the built-in inverter water pump. It is PWM signal with DC max 10 volt. This slide displays the basic control algorithm of the water pump just for your reference. First is it will turn on before the compressor starts up and also remains on even after reach the set point and malfunction stop, which means once it turns it on, it will keep always turn on. And except for the water flow protection, this is just to avoid to burn down due to no water. And the second is you can only manually turn off the system or from the 230 volt thermostat to turn it off. Except these two, the water pump will not stop. And once it will become the last to stop, which is just after the compressor becomes off. And as it is an inverter, which is according to the delta T between the water in and out. Our control target is 3 to 7 K. And also during the defrost, the water pump will reach max RPM to guarantee enough water flow rate to avoid frozen. Other thermal. The function of this one is if the outdoor ambient is very low at that time, this versatility, the heating capacity is not enough for the whole system. At that time, we can call for help. The help is from, for example, the gas boiler. At that time, we will just turn off the versatility and turn on this one to circulate the space heating. And also we can use this one to heat up the DHW. So on the setting, you can have this one, which is to set whether you have this other thermal or not. And here is when to turn on this one and which logic you need to operate. And also here is the requirement for the other thermal, which is first it should equip with the water pump, this one to circulate the water. And also the next is parallel installed with the versatility, which means once this turns on, versatility need to be turned off. These two cannot work together. And last is we need to install this optional water temperature sensor location, which is connect to the CN16 on AP1. Then the other end should locate around here to detect the temperature. And also the turn on other thermal setting, it is once the space heating, it is optional water temperature, sense temperature less than the set point, and also the outdoor ambient is less than this one. If you would like to turn on the DHW, and also please select this control logic to be the specified one. And also we detect the DHW water temperature is less than the second temperature. Then we can turn on this one to heat up this one or this part. Electrical heater. On the circuit diagram, you can find that on the ST4, it is for the e-heater. L1, L2 is for the power input. It just offers the power to this is the built-in e-heater located here. It is 2.9 kilowatt plus 2.9 kilowatt. However, we just make it to be the same. And also from here, there is a AC contactor. We just post on two of it. It cannot separate to control. As for the other one, it is for the water tank heater. You need to connect to the 4 and 5 terminals. And our default setting of this one is consider it as a 3 kilowatt water tank heater. If it is higher than the 3 kilowatt, you need to adjust this size of the L1, L2. Thermostat control. The function of this setting is you can turn on or turn off the versatility directly from the thermostat. However, it only supports the 230 volt thermostat and it is non-programmable, which means it is not easy to find it out on the North American market. And this slide is just to show you how to do the wiring and how to do the setting if you can find this thermostat. And here, just output from the ST315 is the 230 volt AC, and you can use this, for example, this Danfoss thermostat. Then just output from here. Then you can input to the, for example, the 12. If we want it will see 230 volt AC, then the versatility we apply space heating. And of course, before that, on the controller, you need to select the thermostat to be which control mode, either space cooling or space heating. We call it air conditioning, or mode combination, which is together with the DHW. And there are two functions or two settings of it. The number one is the priority of the DHW is you can set it on the wired controller, which is this one. The second one, it is you can change the priority just by the dry contactor, just here. And also it is 230 volt AC. And once we see the signal to, then the priority will give it to air conditioning. Remote room sensor. This is to detect the room temperature directly and then to control the compressor RPM. At that time, we offer you this device, which is to remote detect the room temperature. It is 15K thermostat. And also at the control state, which is to choose the control target, you need to select this T room. This slide displays the requirement of the remote sensor, which is how to install it. Just avoid the sun direct and also the radiator, and also not close to the door, and 1.5 meter or 5 feet from the floor. It's okay. It's quite easy. Gate control function. This setting, the function, it is the versatility only allows the authoritative people to control it. And how to achieve it is you can turn on this function. And once we see the signal on the C and D terminals, then you are allowed to control the versatility. Otherwise, the system will just say you are not authorized to control it. And with this one, we also offer this memory function, which is memory of the gate control. The last slide, I offer you the reference of all the possible components wiring on the terminals. You can find it. Here is the terminal numbers and also the detailed signal and location just for your reference. That's all for this sharing. If you still have any other question or suggestion, feel free to contact me on my email address. Hasta la próxima. それではまた今度。